Let me say something that might make some people uncomfortable. Everybody in your life does not belong in the same room. And the moment you try to force it is the moment you'll start losing peace, clarity, and sometimes even people. It's the day that the Lord has made. I don't mix my friends. Never did. It's not because I'm fake, not because I'm hiding anything, but because I learned early on, everybody cannot handle everybody. And if you've ever walked away from a situation, right, feeling drained, confused, or betrayed after bringing people together, then you already know exactly what I'm talking about. See, we grew up believing that if we are good to people individually, then they should automatically be good together collectively. We think, these are my people, so it should just work. But life doesn't work like that, because relationships, they're not just about how people treat you. They're about how people carry themselves, how people see others, how they compete, how they compare, and how they respond when they're no longer the center of attention. And that's where everything begins to shift. Every person in your life serves a different purpose. You got that one friend, right? You can laugh with all day. You got one you might be able to cry with. One you can talk your business with. Another who understands your spiritual walk. But just because they all serve you doesn't mean they're meant to serve each other. Some people are only assigned to you in private spaces. And the minute you bring them together in a shared environment, that's when you disrupt the balance that made your relationship work in the first place. Not everybody is called to be in your circle together. So let's talk about something real. Comparison. You might not compare your friends, but that doesn't mean they won't compare themselves to each other. The moment people get in the same room, they start measuring who's closer to you, who gets more of your time, who you laugh with more, who you confide in more, who do you post more. And what used to be genuine and organic, it quietly turns into competition. Now, all this energy shifts, intention shifts, and conversations aren't as pure. And suddenly, you're in the middle of tension you didn't create, but you introduced it. This one right here, though, is deep. You are not the same person with each of your friends. There are layers to you. There's a version of you that's probably healing. Then there's another version that's probably growing. There's a version that's still trying to figure things out. One that's strong and one might be very soft. And certain people only have access to certain layers. So once you start mixing your friends, now you're forcing different versions of yourself to show up in the same space. That creates internal conflict. Now you're uncomfortable. Now you're code switching. Now you're overthinking. Because deep down, you know that everybody in that room doesn't truly know you the same way. So let's stop ignoring energy, right? Everybody's spirit does not align. You might be able to handle different personalities one-on-one, but when those personalities collide, it's chaos. One friend you have might be loud and unfiltered. Another one might be very reserved and observant. One is judgmental. Another one is overly sensitive. Individually, you may be able to manage it, but together, it's friction. And now you're playing referee instead of enjoying your space. See, group settings, right, reveal things you would have never seen one-on-one. People start talking differently, acting differently, trying to impress, trying to dominate, trying to be seen. And sometimes they'll even cross lines they would have never crossed if it was just you and them. That's when you start to see who respects you, who competes with you, who low-key envies you, who cannot handle being the favorite. And now you're forced to deal with the truths you weren't ready for. Here's the part people don't want to admit, though. Once you introduce people, you take on a new level of responsibility. Because now, if something goes wrong, all of that's going to trace back to you. Now you're in the middle. Now you find yourself over-explaining, defending, cleaning up messes you didn't make. And it's all because you thought they would all get along. Sometimes protecting your peace means keeping those worlds separate. Everybody doesn't need to know everybody. Everybody doesn't need full access to your full life. See, there's power in moving with intention. There's power in keeping certain relationships sacred. Not everything needs to be shared. Not everything needs to be blended. Because once you open up that door, you don't always get to control what walks through it. And let me say this, because somebody needs to hear it. Just because somebody asks, why have I never met your other friends, doesn't mean that you owe access to them that way. Stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. You're not weird, you're not secretive, and you're not fake. You're wise. If this message hits you, I need you to do 3 things. First, be honest with yourself about your friend circle. Second, stop forcing connections that don't feel natural and genuine. And third, don't let anybody violate your peace. Protect it because your life depends on it. If this message spoke to you, I would like for you to share it because somebody out there is one introduction away from unnecessary stress. Everybody in your life is not meant to sit at the same table. Some people are meant for conversations and not connections. Some people are meant for making memorable moments and not merging. And the moment that you understand that, that's when you stop trying to force harmony where there was never supposed to be any unity. Protect your space, protect your energy, protect your peace. Because everything that's connected is not always aligned. And everything that's aligned doesn't always need to be connected.